Well, it's the 3rd of February. Thanks for joining me. My name's Kevin. I'm reading the letters of my late father, Jimmy Hodge, who was a journalist and who wrote a letter to himself every day of the year in 1999, just to record a sort of year's worth of news just before the millennium. Today, he was starting off with the sacking of someone. Gosh, guess who that could be? It was Glenn Hoddle, who I think we mentioned sometime in January, being the England manager. He was sacked today with a reported £500,000 payoff. Looking a bit sad, said my dad, but with a £500,000 payoff, can't be that sad. I guess if it was today, it would be, who knows, 5, 6, 8, £10 million as a payoff. Not sure what Glenn Hoddle's doing now, or even if he's still with us, sadly. I'm not sure if he passed away. But didn't have a totally successful time being the England manager, but a super footballer. There you go. Second thing was junior nurses apparently had quite a big pay rise thanks to the Labour government and a big recruitment campaign, so much so that 3,000 people had applied for positions to be a nurse, although he was saying, do they realise that you've got old people like me now, of course, who might wet their beds and it's not a very attractive type of job. He also mentioned the fact that he started his first job as a journalist in Chatham on a massive £12 a week, which was actually double what he'd been earning. But he said what he didn't tell anyone, come close, he'd have done it for nothing. And he just said so he could get near the smell of the ink and the hot metal. Now, that's another thing. I watched a program the other day called Look at Life, which were a series of programs made in the 60s and used to appear either before or in halfway through cinema presentations. They were done by the Rank organisation, did nearly 500 of them, and they were all sort of 15, 20-minute sort of vignettes of life in Great Britain. And one of them was about the newspaper industry, and it was really fascinating to see how my dad, who was brought up in the 60s, who had to visit Maidstone, I think it was, every Thursday night before the paper was, as they said, put to bed, and there were typesetters and big presses, rolling presses, and the entire paper was made with lead type in reverse, back to front. And there were people who were skilled at doing that, and Jimmy had to go over and be the sort of voice of authority if there were any last minute changes. So he always arrived quite late back on a Thursday night, having seen the paper to bed before it was published on the Friday. So, and then it was just coming through that photographic offset litho, I think it was called, where things were photographed and things were made more computery type based. Not quite there yet in the late 60s, but certainly things to come. So those masses of machines and typesetters were all just a thing of that era. And now I think if you go to Maidstone, there's a copy of a sort of printing press in the former Kent Messenger building. So you can go and see a sort of what it was like. And in fact, when I visited Penrith last week, there is a little newspaper office in the high street, which also has a sort of small part of the printing press, how they used to be made. And now, of course, it's all computer photographic and probably published by about 2 a.m. in the morning as opposed to 5 or 6 a.m. But that was just another side of the newspaper industry. So Jimmy would have done it for nothing if he could smell that hot lead, which was recycled, by the way. Whatever. Yes, the last bit of the story was an engineer. His wife was despairing of him because apparently he had 60 unfinished do-it-yourself jobs, which apparently went back to 1978, and he hadn't quite finished them yet. So his wife was a bit despairing. Wife, was despairing. Daughter was despairing. Was waiting for a Wendy house, which never arrived, and got married and left home, etc., etc. Now apparently being the subject of a TV program, one of those look at our house, look at my shambolic lifestyle type of programs, which I think still are popular today. Really, perhaps they should visit my house. Don't say anything. Anyway, lastly, a 95-year-old woman in Copenhagen, Tudor, if you're watching, Copenhagen, is angry because the local council sacked her 25-year-old home help, saying he was inefficient. So she married him. He denies that he's after her savings. We'll see. If you're that guy and you're still around, please subscribe. Let us know how you got on. Thanks for listening. That was the news today, and take care, and we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.